Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's December, so I've just gone through it. We're in festive mode now on the channel, so Merry Christmas everybody. Very early. I've spent the day putting my decorations up, and not only that, also in the studio, as you can see. I will be sporting this hat as we move forward, because otherwise I'm never going to wear it, so no better opportunity to wear it than on this channel. But we're looking at the end of the year now. We'll come on to the England fixtures in terms of, the England players playing this weekend, who's impressed and things like that, because I think that's going to be a big talking point as we end this year. But ultimately tonight is going to be looking back on our 2024. It started, as you all remember, or may not remember actually, 2024 started with England hopeful of winning the Euros. It's as simple as that. That's what it was all about. We didn't quite achieve that, but at the same time, has it been a success? So that is tonight's poll. You can see there, has the year 2024 been a success for England? So let me know in the chat, let me know on the poll, and we'll get some debating going in terms of, did the year meet expectations? But before we get onto that, let's get to the chat. You know, I like to go straight to the chat. Gate 102, evening mate. Great to have you with us. Josh, thank you very much, mate, for joining once again. Gate 102, love the hat. Thanks, mate. It probably might come off actually in a little while, because it's quite warm. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, it is really, really warm. Josh also saying nice hat. Mr. Pizza Delivery, England 0, USA 0. Of course, yep. So we will talk about the women's game as well. Defence was good, but England was good by England and better than against Germany. Final game of the year versus Switzerland on Tuesday. Kickoff 7:45. Yep. So if you're interested in the women's game, watch that. I've got to be honest, I have caught glimpses of the women's game, but I didn't watch it. Where was I? I was out somewhere at the time. The expectation for 2024 was so high, therefore, unless England won it and played every game really well, then fancy that as a failure. I mean, sort of. Let's go, as you've said that, let's go straight to the poll at the minute. We've only got 2 votes, but 1 yes, 1 no. So, yeah, it probably is going to divide opinion. Or 1 more is just coming for yes, as I've stated that. Look, start of this year, given where England were coming from, given that people were saying this was going to be Southgate's year. Remember, this is the year that Southgate has obviously left as well. And some people may count that as towards success, because we know he was very Marmite, unbelievably, for a lot of fans. Even, despite his record, people still wanted him gone. So for some people, the fact that Gareth Southgate is no longer in charge of England will be a positive. It will be an absolute positive for some of those fans. But for me, it's been a very, very mixed year. If you'd have told me at the beginning of the year we'd get to another European final, back-to-back European finals, I'd have taken that, regardless of the result in the final. I'd have thought, surely then we're going to win one or whatever, but I'd have taken that. I'd have taken that as success. And looking before the tournament, because really, we've got to judge England. In our tournament year, we've got to judge England based on how they did at the tournament. And ultimately, yes, we still did not get over the line. And it goes back to, again, England's history and things like that. Because of our history, you're tempted to say, actually, no, it hasn't been a success, because yet again, England haven't won a title. But look, we got to a final again. And I think everybody, like I said, everybody wanted, that was the minimum expectation of fans coming into 2024. So I think it's been a success. I do think it's been a success. I think it's been another year laying ground for, the future. I mean, off the field, I would say less so. I'll come into that in a second. But, in fact, no, I'll cover it now, actually. Off the field, since Southgate's departure, or the way Gareth Southgate's departure has been handled, I would say less so. I still don't understand why Thomas Tuchel isn't starting now. But, look at the tournaments we have been in. We've got to a final of the Euros, and we've topped the group, and we're back in League A of the Nations League. you'd have taken getting to the final, not knowing the result, but you'd have taken getting to a final and England topping the Nations League, which get back to League A. You'd have taken that at the beginning of the year, and you'd have said it would have been a success. Having said that, we've lost at home to Iceland, we've lost at home to Greece, we've lost at home to Brazil. It's been an odd year, and the quality of performances has been lacking as well, consistently anyway. There's been the odd few good games thrown in there, but there's been too many poor performances, I think, on the pitch. That, I mean, to be fair to Gareth Southgate, it hasn't reflected in the outcomes of the matches. Melissa says it hasn't been a total success, but it was better than other years. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, it goes back to where were we before Gareth Southgate? And I know we are judging this against Gareth Southgate, and he's set those very high standards in which we're judging against. But this year we've had under Gareth Southgate, for the most part, would still have been a pipe dream, and was a pipe dream for the last 20, 30 years of my life. So, look, we didn't win the trophy. That is a shame, but I would still say it's been a success, in my opinion. But obviously everyone's entitled to their own, because you might easily argue on the other foot, no, we're at the stage where now anything but winning tournaments isn't a success because we're getting close. And that's not to mean that people don't appreciate the opposition that's out there, but it's just in terms of where England's next step is. And let's be honest, it is just winning a trophy now. It really is. We've got the monkey off our back about penalties. We've got the monkey off our back about winning important games, about getting to finals. It really is now about winning a trophy. And certainly, as we move forward with Thomas Tuchel, nothing but a World Cup would be classed as success for him. I think so. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I've been subscribed to you since 2001. Just realised, says Football Channel. Great stuff, mate. Thank you so much. That's 4 years. 4 years. Have I been doing this channel for 4 years? Wow, that is that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. I do remember my first ever video I put out, by the way. It's still on my channel. I have thought about it because I've looked at other YouTubers and they go back and delete some of the older ones because obviously they're embarrassing and all that lot. But I've kept them on. You can go back and have a look. But yeah, you can see the progression of the channel. And I know some of you have definitely been here since the start, but I can't believe it's been 4 years. In fact, it will have been, won't it? Because I did cover the Euros. Yeah, 4 years. Wow. Well, long may it continue. I mean, we've sort of stored on the subscriber count, but, you know, I'll keep making videos. I'm still enjoying it. Football Channel Jones is good, so he needs to stay in our midfield. Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that's as a result of today as well. Gate 102, it's been a year of transition. Key players in 2023 such as Henderson, Phillips, Trippier, Walker, Maguire aren't necessarily starters anymore. Lots of players have made their debut this year. And that's an excellent point, mate, because that is the case. So that is another branch of success, isn't it? Because they were key players, and you wouldn't necessarily now look at that England squad and be worried that any of those players aren't getting in. So you can only put that down as an additional success as well, in my opinion. I feel like people don't realise how hard it is to get to back-to-back finals. Very few teams have done that. We also comfortably qualified for the tournament and got promoted in the Nations League. Yeah, exactly my point, mate. And it is about, you know, not taking the piss as England fans and almost fulfilling that self-fulfilling prophecy where we consistently get blamed for having ridiculous expectations and we think we've got the God-given right to win everything. We don't think that. And I don't disagree with England fans who necessarily say it hasn't been a success because we haven't won a trophy. Because I get it. Because that, again, it's where we're up to now, isn't it? It is about winning a trophy. But I think there's more success. The more I'm talking about it, I'm more convinced, actually. I was a little bit on the fence, but, you know, with the debuts we've had, or the new players coming through, the older players retiring, the reaching another European final, becoming qualified again, for League A of the Nations League, you'd have taken all this at the beginning of the year. You would have done. 2 weeks then World Cup qualifying draw, says Football Chat. I know, mate. I can't wait. The problem is, I will announce now, I don't think I'm going to be able to cover it. Not live, anyway. I'll probably jump on a live stream later on or do a video, one of the two. In fact, I'll probably do a video, actually. because it'll allow me to make it more concise, and I think it'll have a bigger reach to other people. So I'll probably drop a video after. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm just a bit gutted I can't do a live stream as it's on because, work. Really annoying. Gate 102, I find it hard to call getting to a final a failure when we've only been to 2 finals outside of 2024. Mate, I do not disagree with you. 100% agree with you. But we all know, someone has 30% of the vote so far. I know it's only a very small poll, but 30% of people don't think it's been a success. And I think what I'm saying is I do still get that. I do, because I think that's born out of frustration. And again, it goes back to born out of England's past record. If England had have won a tournament in the past 10 years, everybody would have said this would have been a success, no doubt. But the fact that England, yet again, haven't won a trophy can only go down as, in some people's opinion, another year of failure. In March, we get rid of Walker and put Trent and Rico there, says Football Channel. Yeah, there is that danger of throwing out all your experience, but we've not missed it, have we? We've not missed the other players leaving. Caroline, nice heart. Thank you, Caroline. Caroline knows who she is. Yeah, so it's been. I'm calling it. I'm saying I'm happy with this year. I am more than happy with this year. Bagani, right, your message just now has sort of brought me into where I want this to start to go. So, essentially, we're reviewing the year, but then also looking in terms of who's been the big successes and who's been the big losers. I hate that term, but that's what we're looking at. Who's come in and who's come out. I think Calvin Phillips continues to be a complete loser. In terms of his England place, he's not a loser. Bless him. Really like the lad. Don't know him, but really like his outlook, the way he handles himself, whatever. But he's not getting back in the England team at all now, is he? Sancho, another disappointing year. Mason Mount, all these players that, 24 months ago or whatever were starters. They're way out of the picture. Bagani, though, has just mentioned Rashford. Now, we've seen this before, though, Bagani, and this is where I'm saying it's not good enough now from Rashford to have 5 games flash in the pan when a new manager comes in and he does it for a few weeks and then we all know he then goes off the ball. So I hear you. I think now I want to see more from Rashford over a longer period before he gets called back up to the England squad. Even if he plays well between now and March, not sure I want him there. Madueke is making good progress. Absolutely, Football Channel, 100%. Madueke is a definite winner of this year. Bellingham again. You've got, obviously he's had a fantastic year, hasn't he? He really has had a fantastic year. Mark Gahey, obviously, is another one who's really stood out. Ollie Watkins, definitely getting some important goals and playing, important roles in important matches. Anthony Gordon, I think, now more or less establishing himself as an England player. Football Channel, where is Sancho now? Yeah, he's another loser, mate, dropping out. Rashford plays his best when a manager believes in him. If Tuchel wants him and he's confident Rashford will be quality for England, agree that he needs to be more consistent. More, says Gate 102. Tuchel has always liked Rashford, so I could see it happening if he's playing well. Yeah, look, I'm not against it. We all know that this is why we all get wound up, because we all know what Marcus Rashford can bring. We all know what he's about. We all know a fully fit, firing, in the form of his life Rashford possibly is one of England's best players. Rashford doing his on his peak is probably one of England's best players. We just don't see it enough. We just do not see it enough, and that's the problem. 2024 weren't that successful despite making it to the final. Bagani, this is what I mean. I don't disagree with that, but why? Why would you say it's not been successful? Because, like I said, we've gone into League A, we've got to the final, and it's fair enough. Is it for you now that we simply should have won a trophy? Because I do completely get that. I personally think a fully confident firing Rashford is our best option at left wing, says Gate 102. Gay definitely, and my extra bias means I'll have to say Ollie Watkins as well. Ollie Watkins had a great year, Josh. 100%, mate. I mean, Harry Maguire is probably, is another probably loser, you would say. Trippier as well. I know he's retired, but I don't think he had a choice, really, because I don't think he was ever going to be getting back in. Walker, you could argue, is coming towards the end of his career now. I mean, who's the other winner? I'm thinking of, Curtis Jones, but only towards the end of the year, you would say, these last few set of fixtures has come good. He just wasn't strong enough to force him way into that squad, was he, for the Euros? Mainu, yeah, 100% had a good year. Bagani, at least Rashford scores more than Foden, mate. I mean, Foden's a loser. And you know what I mean by that in terms of his England career. He's had and that is bizarre because Foden club-wise has had a phenomenal year. Phenomenal year. But for England, it's just been another one of those, like, that'll do. That's Foden's phrase in an England shirt, that'll do. We have played well this year, although we have lost 4 games. I think that's probably where I start to disagree. I would say we haven't played well for big chunks of this year, but we've somehow got results we've needed to. Football Channel, would you drop Foden and bring Rashford in if he was in form? Possibly. I mean, there's no doubt Rashford's had a better England career than Foden. Sam Holt, favourite England game this year? It's probably got to be the Netherlands semi-final, hasn't it? Because we did play all right that night, actually. We did play half decent. And obviously, seeing England win a semi-final is the peak this year. We didn't go anywhere in the final. So for me, the semi-final result against the Netherlands was it for me. It's not Kodu. Foden never scores. Josh would have to say Gomez, yeah, although it was only post-Euros, he was brilliant when he came in. Football Channel, to be fair, Spain deserved to win the Euros, we were rubbish at attacking. Yeah, and that's my point, But, again, I still get it, we should be winning trophies. Foden should have scored a hat-trick against the Netherlands. Says Bagani, Gate 102, Foden's not been great for England, but also feel sorry for him, as I feel the media and fans are always on his back, meaning he doesn't feel free to perform. Sort of, but you could say... He gets that at City, though, doesn't he, as well? You can't really have more than 1 or 2 bad games at City without being dropped. Well, they all are at the minute, aren't they? We have lost 4 games this year. One of them was a final in a tournament, so now not really a success. Says George. So, I mean, yeah. It's just other than win the final, though, there's not a lot else we could have done. Josh Phillips says Netherlands semi-final. Definitely, I assume that's for your favourite game of the year. Great question, Sam. Really good question, that is. I said it last week, but Bowen, yes, 100%. Agree that Foden gets a lot of pressure at City, but England's a new level of pressure, in my opinion. Harry Kane is really overrated, I think. He's very slow and he's literally only good at getting finishes and penalties. I wouldn't say he's overrated, but it's hard because he did still score goals at the Euros. I get the criticism. I mean, I don't think there's any England fan this year who hasn't been a bit pissed off and wound up by Harry Kane, which is bizarre because he's still been scoring plenty of goals. But I think in the Euros in particular, when it just felt like for a number of games we were playing with 10 men, that I think... So I wouldn't say he's had a terrible year or an outstanding year. It was just another year where you felt like... Harry Kane, our all-time top goal scorer, and he just wasn't there when we needed him, was he? Like, really needed him at the Euros. It's all right, England getting to League A, but if we get, for example, Netherlands, France, and Italy, well, England, they're going to struggle. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say we'd struggle. I think everyone would struggle in that group. I wouldn't even get Walker in the San Marino squad, says Pagani. Sam Holt, we did brilliant getting to a Euros final considering the form we were in. Spain were just on a different level. Successful year, in my opinion. Gate 102, the fact that Kane didn't perform well and still score goals tells you all you need to know about him. Football Channel, San Marino are going to League C. They're on the up. They've had a successful year. Bellingham has had his ups and downs this year. I mean, to be honest with you, despite, if it wasn't for... some of these last-minute goals, ones against Belgium and obviously the one at the Euros, the overhead kick, and without those, and I know it's easy to say, well, if he doesn't do this and that, then he's crap, but they were just very brief moments in plenty of games where he's been poor. So I do get that point. But I would still say Bellingham's been a success, and he has to play. But Joe Bellingham going to Dortmund following his brother. I've heard plenty of good things about Joe Bellingham, and obviously I've seen him a little bit in the under-21s as well. I do think he's one to watch out for, and genuinely, I did think at the time, or going back a year or two ago, that he was just hyped because of his brother. But I think this season in particular, he's obviously been a starter for his club, and I know where he plays, the fans can't speak highly enough of him, so let's wait and see with that one. If I was UEFA, I would ban Spain for being too good. George, if Bellingham performed properly at the Euros, despite the Euro final, he could have won the Ballon d'Or this year. I feel like it. Well, yeah, probably. Modric, who won the UEFA Champions League and lost the World Cup final in 2008, won a Ballon d'Or. Without some of Bellingham's goals, it would have potentially been a disastrous year for England. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's no denying that. I mean, we were out, weren't we, at the Euros? England were out, mate. Jesus. It was, yeah. We weren't getting to the final. We just was not getting to the final, were we? Hang on. Let's go back and have a look at the fixtures of this year. I'm just going to go over them in order. Let me have a look. Let me get them up. For some reason, it's only bringing up the women's for some reason. So obviously, England's starting the calendar year with plenty of optimism. Let's results. There we go. Where? Right, yeah, so we started the year against Brazil. No. Yes, it was. It was the 1-0 loss against Brazil in March. So we lost 1-0 to Brazil, and it was a poor game. Drew 2-2 with Belgium in March as well. There then was a break, and it was a 3-0 win at St James's Park against Bosnia in June. This is obviously before the Euros, and then obviously the terrible night against Iceland where we lost 1-0. We then beat Serbia 1-0, obviously at the Euros in the opening game. Drew 1-1 with Denmark, and drew 0-0 with Slovenia. So yeah, Jesus. Then obviously Slovakia nearly knocked us out in the round of 16 if it wasn't for Bellingham, but we did go on and win 2-1. We then drew 1-1 with Switzerland and won 5-3 on penalties in the quarter-final. Beat the Netherlands 2-1 in the semi-final, and obviously lost 2-1 to Spain in the final. And then after that, we've beat Ireland 2-0 in September, Finland 2-0 in September, lost to Greece in October, beat Finland away in October, beat Greece away in November, and obviously finished with that 5-0 win against the Republic of Ireland. So it has been a very, very mixed year. Yeah. Football Channel, Imagine Jude and Job in England's midfield. Spain versus Liverpool. Who wins? I have no idea, mate. Spain. I have a very strong opinion on Harry Kane, says Josh. Germany are probably my best world international team of the year. Yes, Spain is the new France. Stacked squad and play free-flowing football, says George. Football Channel, Conor Bradley had Mbappe in his back pocket. Would be play for England instead of Northern Ireland. He's England's greatest ever player, and people who disrespect him have no idea what they're talking about. No other striker on the planet can do what he can do. A brilliant creator as well, says Josh Phillips. Can't disagree with that. Honestly, I can't. The March camp highlighted England's lack of depth at left back, as Chilwell was poor and Shaw was injured. Left back's still a problem. It'll be a problem going into late next year. Do you think Walker costed us? No, I'm not saying Walker. I think the entire squad, mate, didn't turn up to the final. They just didn't. It was a terrible night. We let them in. We decided to go for it. Got the equaliser, and then sat back again. And just bottled it. It was another bottle job for me from Southgate, and the lads just didn't have the belief. Didn't have the belief at all. Josh Phillips couldn't agree more. Some fans didn't realise just how good Kane is. We should be wanting him to play for as many years as possible rather than trying to force him out of the team. I think he will be playing a lot more. I mean, this is, back in when I was younger, 18, 19, it was players were retiring at 30, 31. I think it is more common now. You get a lot of players who play late 30s at a high level. So don't rule out Harry Kane at all. Miss Ivan Toney, but he ain't needed no more. Look, I think Ivan Toney's 100% still got a place in this squad, and I think he should have played more minutes at the Euros. It's a bizarre one because he's playing in Saudi Arabia that he's got no chance of getting a look in. Maybe that changes with Tuchel, but I like Ivan Toney. I like his attitude. I like everything about him. Do you think Gay had a bad game in the Euros? I can't remember. I don't think he did. I know there was one game where he did cause a mistake and lead to the goal. Was it the Slovenia game? Can't quite remember now. Or Slovakia game? I can't remember. Gary, who do you want as Kane's understudy? The problem is, right, I always thought Ollie Watkins was the man to take over, but Ollie Watkins is late 20s now. You're not looking at a huge amount more years in difference between Harry Kane and Ollie Watkins. Maybe one more tournament in Ollie Watkins above Harry Kane, but I don't think Ollie Watkins does enough linking up the rest of the team that Harry Kane does so well. So it's, I don't know. I think we're desperate for another couple of strikers to come through, pushing for that squad. And this is what I'm saying. It's bizarre that you haven't got. I mean, why isn't Chris Wood talked about more? He's having a great season. Not very fashionable, I know, but still having a really, really good season. But Ivan Toney, it was just such a. I mean, we know why he went. It's because of the money, but it seemed like such a bizarre move for him to go to Saudi Arabia. But we know he went for the money. Kane is an England player before anything and says he wants to get 100 goals, so clearly it's in the long term and not thinking about retiring. Well, I mean, if he reaches 100 goals, it'll be phenomenal, but I think he'll probably have to play for another 3-4 years, won't he? What do you think would have happened after if Kane scored that penalty against France? Mate, I've always said this, that night against France, we were the better team. We'd have gone on and won it. To this day, if I watch that game back, England were the better team that night. The referee had a stinker. I'm not just saying that. The referee had an absolute stinker. There should have been a free kick in the build-up to France's first goal. He didn't even want to give us that penalty. That was stonewall and obvious. I just think that night England played arguably one of the best matches we've played in years and somehow lost. Solanke, or should the yeah, maybe. Is that who you mean, Bagani? Solanke? I don't know if you've misspelt it. Oh yeah, Chris Wood is, isn't he? He is. For some reason, I thought Chris Wood was English then. Don't know why I even thought about him. Why did I think Chris Wood was... He is New Zealand. Yeah. Why did I think he was English? Why did I think Chris Wood... It's probably because he's been in England for years. Absolutely years. For 2024, England have won 10, drawn 3 and lost 4. Yeah, it's not been a terrible year. It makes me feel sick talking about the France game. I don't understand how we didn't get through. Better team, and you'd back Kane 9-9. Look, Josh, I've said it before. We were so good that night. That one annoys me more than the Spain game. And I know it was only the quarterfinals still, and we still had a long way to go. And who knows what would have happened in the semi-final, in the final, whatever. But I go back to that tournament as well, and we were on fire. Foden was playing well. We're going on about some of these players who haven't been playing well. Foden was having like a tournament of his life. Bellingham was playing well. We were so strong. We looked really, really strong that tournament. Kane was in form. It's just such a shame that it came to an end so too early for me. Agree about the France game. Out of all 4 knockout defeats under Gareth, the France one is the one I found most frustrating. He's looked so good. Absolutely, that's exactly, mate. Honestly, because Argentina didn't look that great neither. No one looked that great. I think England looked one of the best teams at that tournament. Do you think we would have won in the World Cup if we'd beaten France? I think we were a better team than Argentina at that World Cup, genuinely. And I don't care how bad that sounds. You don't have to be the best team to win a tournament. I think we'd have been favourites to win it. I think we would have beaten. I think we wouldn't would have beaten France, then Morocco, then lose to Argentina because of referees just so messy, just so make Messi win. Look, I don't think. I mean, the thing is, I've said to you before, I don't know if my heart could take an England Argentina final. I mean, imagine losing that. I've said this time and time again. You know, we have not versus France since that 2-1 defeat at the 2022 World Cup. Aliens are going to find that ball from Kane's penalty. I mean, the miss on that penalty, there's no excuse, is there? I know he's a legend, but how can you not hit the fucking target? I'm convinced we would have gone on to win it. Morocco were terrible in the semi-finals, and Argentina only played well in the final because France had to make changes because of that sickness bug. I think we'd have won it. And I know this is again England fans saying, you know, but we were playing so well. We really were playing so well. That's the best I've seen England playing a tournament ever in my lifetime, easily. We were the best team going into the quarterfinals, says Begani. Gate 102. The best thing about the Qatar World Cup was that we had 8 different scorers across 5 games. The idea that Southgate played defensive football. We scored the most goals per game that tournament. Yeah, but mate, we were on fire. We were absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant at that tournament, honestly. We were so good. So good. I mean, just going back to, I mean, in terms of England strikers to replace Harry Kane or sort of, I mean, Solanke's probably one, isn't he? He probably needs a few games. Danny Welbeck, we all know with Danny Welbeck fan clubs in here. I think we're pretty short though, aren't we? Outside of that, I'm just having a look of a list of available strikers now, and there isn't really. There's not many options. There really isn't. Someone's going to have to come out of nowhere. Yeah, but is he George saying Liam Delap? But I don't know. Look, you're replacing Harry Kane, and that's the problem, isn't it? That is the problem. You're not replacing. I don't think none of the players were bothered when we lost to France because they thought we had a high chance to win the Euros in 2024. The problem is that if we'd have played like that if we'd have played like we did in the World Cup in the Euros, we'd have won it. But England, honestly, that World Cup was the time. I'm going to keep going on about it. It's so frustrating because I think both goals from France were unavoidable, even from a point of the referee pulling his finger out his arse and not giving obvious fouls and all this. I know there's a big gap between the goals and stuff like that, but I thought England were better than France that night, I'm telling you. The 6 goals against Iran, Rashford in game against Wales, Jude and Henderson in the Senegal game, we played so well. It makes me feel so sick, man. I mean, yeah, I will say that, Josh, but remember, we were terrible against the US. I do try and pull myself back in a little bit. We were shocking against... In fact, we were pretty shit against Wales in the first half as well. We weren't great then. So, a game and a half, we weren't that great, but outside of that, we were really strong. So, yeah, it was... I mean, but we definitely played... We were the better team. We were the better team that night against France. I think we had more possession that night as well. We were the better team. Mbappe was quiet. I just think, I don't know, it really wound me up. Still winds me up to this day. I'm just trying to find out how old Ivan Toney is. When was he born? 1996. Oh, so he's coming up to 30 as well. In fairness to Gareth, he changed it after the USA by putting Henderson in midfield as well as Rashford and Foden on the wing for the Wales game. Yeah, he did change it up. But it was just, yeah, we were woeful, weren't we, against the US? Really bad. Is England 5-0 Republic of Ireland I don't know what you mean, Kodu. The biggest win so far. The biggest win this year. Yes, the biggest win this year. It's not our biggest ever win. That was against the Republic of Ireland, but it was many, many years ago. But yeah, no, it's our biggest win this year. I think biggest win this year. No, was it? Yeah, it was. It was our biggest win this year. Yeah, 100%. I always get confused. Like, I even think back to, like, when we beat Macedonia, like 7-1. I'm thinking, was that not 12 months ago? But it's like, it's not. It's mad. Time goes so fast. Really, really fast. So it's a good way to end the year. Very, very good way to end the year. What is your favourite ever tournament, Gary? Mine's 2018, my first tournament after going through to that, then stun everyone to get the semis was unbelievable. I'd probably agree with you, Josh. I think there's a moment that always, even to this day now. Well, there's a few games watching England over the years that I just think I could watch that again and again. The game when we beat Argentina in the World Cup with that Beckham penalty, what a night that was. Trying to think other games. I mean that one. I'm just thinking that one for me as a child really stands out. I think the one that really gets me though was the Colombia beating Colombia on penalties because England just hadn't won on penalties. We'd been struggling for years in tournaments. It just felt like, and even to this day, like all of Gareth Southgate's success from that came from that game, in my opinion. It just felt like this is going to be different now, and ever since then it has been. So, so whether it's the whole tournament I'm going on about, or but I just think that World Cup tournament where we beat Colombia in the penalties was just different gravy for me. It just felt like the turning of the tide. So yeah, it's just so it's hard for me to pick a whole tournament, but that certainly is the moment. That to me is the one tournament. I mean, I sometimes watch that penalty shootout randomly, like, but I don't know, when I'm like in bed or I don't know, making a sandwich, I'll stick it on. I'm not even joking. Like if I'm cooking in the kitchen, I'll stick it on the TV and like I'm just watching Eric Dyer smashing the winner. Again, it's absolutely brilliant. So I think that one for me is probably the one that really, really sticks out. I hope we are against Scotland at the World Cup 2026. That's the tournament I really fell in love with England, says Josh Phillips. I mean, the tournament I really fell in love with England, weirdly, was probably 98, World Cup 98. I mean, I do briefly remember Euro 96. I remember my dad had a Castrol. It was a book made by Castrol, the fuel company or whatever, but it had like it was a guide to the Euros, but it was after the tournament, and I was only very young. I think I was like 6 or 7 years old. And I remember flicking through that book for, it must have been 2-3 years after it happened, and I remember being fascinated by looking back at the results and looking at the England team that played and being gutted. I can remember watching it at the time, but I just remember being more gutted reading it back than watching it back, because obviously you couldn't back then. You couldn't watch games back then. There was no such thing as YouTube or anything. But I remember Euro 96, but the tournament I really fell in love with England was the World Cup in 1998 when obviously Beckham did what he did and got sent off and became public enemy number one. But it just made me want it even more. And I think that for me is probably the one that's always grabbed me from then on. That penalty shootout, wow, says Josh. Gate 102, the Colombia penalty shootout felt like a release from all the pain in the previous years. That's what I mean. I remember walking home with Caroline, and I was just like, this is just like I was on the biggest buzz I've ever had from watching a sporting event, and never had since. Like even the semi-final victories and stuff like that. I've never had more of a buzz after a game than that. Easily. Nozo Colombia was a dirty side, and that's what made it even sweeter, mate. Roy Hodgson was the worst manager of the century. I wouldn't say he was that bad. You know, he wasn't. I mean, if you're talking about the century, actually, maybe. Because we're not far in. I have to watch the Dyer penalty once a week. I start saying the commentary to myself. I've watched it so many times. Yes, absolutely nothing quite comes close to that feeling from the tournament. Just every game just kept getting better and better. That's what I mean. It just felt like it never. It always felt like when I was younger, tournaments used to be these bigger. They used to be bigger. I think, in my mind, going back to these World Cup '98 tournaments, in the Euro '96 and the early 2000 World Cups, stuff like that. They always felt like bigger tournaments. I feel like the nation used to get behind the country more. But then there was a big lull. It seemed to like die off. But then that tournament felt like that again. But also with success. It wasn't just hype for the sake of hype. England were actually doing well on the pitch, and it was just, yeah. I think that tournament for me probably does do it, the more I'm thinking about it. What would you do if England won the World Cup or the Euros? I don't even know, mate. I'd cry. I'm not even joking. I would absolutely be in bits. I would be absolutely in bits. Yeah, I'd just be in bits. I don't know what I'd do. Genuinely, I don't know what I'd do. I remember how I felt after the women won the Euros, and I was absolutely buzzing. It was like that feeling, and I remember wanting to like go to the pub or whatever and celebrate, but it'll be different level. It'll be absolutely different level if the men win. Obviously, the women are hopefully going to defend their title. I can't believe it's coming back around already. But yeah, let's hope we can defend our European title. Last time England hosted a tournament was Euro '96, and the last time they hosted a World Cup was 1966. Why did England host so little? I think we're bidded. I mean, the fact that England haven't hosted the World Cup since '66 is a joke, and we've applied, I think, a few times. I think we've attempted to hold it a few times over the years. I think England's time will come in the next 20, 30 years. I think it will come. But yeah, it's just a joke, mate. It's a joke that England haven't hosted the World Cup. And the USA's had it like 2-3 times in that time? 4 maybe? I don't know, it's just a joke. Yeah, we'll host Euro 2028, but we almost did host not the last Euros, the other Euros, didn't we? Celebrated like they won the World Cup against Colombia on penalties. We need to get 3 finals in a row in 2028. I know it's a massive ask. It's a massive ask. What's your favourite tournament goal in a game, Gary? Oh. Possibly Palmer's against Spain in that final. Because we were the side 1-0 down, and it was an absolute belting of a goal. And it sort of come out from nowhere. I think that one was, even now, I like to watch it. I mean, I'd love to watch it back more, but I find it really hard to do it because I know we're going to lose. But that was a belter. I always remember Joe Cole's goal against Sweden, where he takes it on the chest and belts it and is way outside the box and almost loops in the top corner. I always remember that. Beckham's penalty against Argentina, mentioned that one a few times. Trying to think of some others. Maybe Trippier's goal against Croatia in the semi-final of the World Cup, but again, sort of tinted because we went on and lost. 2018, the start of the greatest ever England song. Oh yeah, mate. The Atomic Kitten. Gate 102 podcast. I would go for Kane's winner against Tunisia just because that was the first of many brilliant moments under Southgate. I think going back to the Colombia penalty shootout, I always see that as a pivotal moment because also, I remember saying at the time, this matters, even though we'll probably, we might get results in the games, it mattered that we won that tournament, opening game in the tournament, because England, before Southgate, had historically never won opening matches of tournaments, and we've done it a lot more, and I think we did it under every tournament in Gareth Southgate, but we never, our record at opening games in tournaments before that was terrible. And I do believe, I'm adamant, you win your opening game at any tournament, it sets you up so much better. You're not on the back foot all the way through. So I'd agree, Gate 102, that was well up there. The worst tournament goal is Kane's goal against Denmark. Oh, is that the one where it's like bundled in the back of the net? That is my most frustrating game because all throughout that game we were the better team. And I can't believe you still get salty Danish fans or fans of other countries saying that we didn't deserve to beat in that night. Denmark was shit that night. England just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And Kasper Schmeichel was an absolute machine. Tournament goal, Watkins for me, probably, or sure, against Italy. Couldn't believe it. You know what? The Ollie Watkins one's a shout, innit? You know what? That may have won it. I don't know, I'd forgotten that. That Ollie Watkins one may be a shout. Because what a goal. And it stopped us from going into extra time, which nobody wanted, because it was just dog's dinner football, wasn't it? Yeah, maybe that one. I think that's a good shout, Josh. Proper shout. I mean, the one in 2024, not 2021. Oh, okay. I'm with you. I had to get an Ollie Watkins shirt with the Euros patches and everything. Shaw's against Italy was just disbelief that we'd scored. My heart rate was through the roof when the ball hit the net. Again, though, it's a bit like, it's just a bit tainted, isn't it? If we'd have gone and won it, it's up there, it's winning it. But just again, it feels like it's just a goal that came too early now. That's what everyone remembers it for. Quick look at the poll. Has the year 2024 been a success for England? 65% saying yes, 35% saying no, 17 votes down. Josh, yeah, could have had extra time after, had to be up at 5 the next day for work. That's what I mean. No one wanted it, mate. No one wanted it. So I was just thinking, you know what? At that point, usually I'm just like, look, bring it on. But England had spent the last 3 weeks boring the shit out of us all, playing some of the worst football at the Euros, stinking the place out. And I just thought, I just don't want extra time. My heart rate couldn't take it. I can't be arsed. And I don't mean I wasn't going to watch it. Obviously, I was going to watch it, but it just felt different. I just thought, can't we just get this done in 90 minutes? Because the whole tournament was a slog, wasn't it? The whole tournament was an absolute slog. So, yeah, Ollie Watkins' goal is right up there. It definitely is. 100%. I stopped for a second because I couldn't believe the ball had gone in. Italy had been so good all tournament to do that to them after 2 minutes at Wembley. Unreal. I mean, everyone goes back to that's the Euros we should have won, and that's why people sometimes don't get a bit, people aren't as mad about the final this year. They're more bothered about us not beating Italy at home when we're already 1-0 up against an ageing back line, and you've still got to agree with them, haven't you? You've still got to say, I mean, we did lose on penalties. Let's not. And I think that's the thing. We lost on bloody penalties. I hope England win in 2026. To hear Guy Mowbray reaction and the fans and the whole country reaction, we just got to... I just want to win more so I can rub other fans' face in it as well, because how many people hate us? And I'd love it. Like, so many people don't want us to win. I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it. I just can't see it, though. And obviously I can't see it. I've never seen England get to a World Cup final. We've still never done that, so I still can't see it. But I'm going in every tournament like I always do. We're one of the favourites. So, I mean, we've got 12 months now. We've got 12 months of Thomas Tuchel. He may not play his first competitive game with England until maybe August time. So, depending on the World Cup draw in a couple of weeks' time, we're not going to know what next year's going to look like. I think there may well be a friendly in America. I keep saying that another week. So, I'll tell you what, let's have a Channel England football. Let's have a Channel England football tour to America if we'd have a friendly against the US earlier in the year. Then I'm sure some of you will be going to the World Cup as well the following year. But let's have a trip to the US early next year. I don't think we will. It will depend on, won't it, how big our World Cup qualification group is. I think the likelihood is we're going to end up in a larger group. I'm just absolutely devastated Gareth didn't get to win the trophy he deserved. When we win one in the next few years, it will be massively down to what he did, and no one can convince me otherwise, mate. Honestly, no doubt. If we win a tournament, it's 100% because of Gareth Southgate. Well, not 100%, but you know what I mean. Without Gareth Southgate, we ain't winning anything, mate. My biggest frustration towards England fans are the people who hit on the bandwagon and tournaments but then don't care about the friendlies, qualifiers, Nations League games, etc. Gate 102, mate, it's exactly my point. And this is going back to this documentary I'm making again. I've been speaking to a lot of them because, like you said, they're the first to speak out about why England can't win anything, always slagging us off and all this lot. So I've been speaking to them and trying to get them to put the money where the mouth is on this video. So watch this space. I address that. That would be epic. Or meet in the US, mate. It's happening. Let's do it. Let's do it. Little tour. Channel England football on tour. That'd be class. That'd be absolutely class. We should do a little Channel England football meet up at Wembley for those of us that go. That'll be quality. That'll be really mint. Gareth's legacy should always be either our greatest manager in years or the person who built the foundations for Tuchel if he wins it. Southgate was a blessed manager. Begane, you might say that, but all England fans have been moaning about for the past 60 years is that every manager's been blessed and done nothing with that talent. So Gareth Southgate has. I know he hasn't won it, but he's done far more than what anyone else has done with so-called golden generations and top players and all this lot. So, yeah, I just think he's done a great job. For anyone who loves Tuchel but doesn't like Southgate, I'd always question, would Tuchel come in if it wasn't for Southgate making us competitive again? Well, absolutely not. Why would he? If you remember, going back to the state England were in, after Allardyce and Hodgson and God knows what went off there and all that lot. But, they were looking at Gareth Southgate because at the time I don't think there were many options available and it wasn't a very attractive job. It just wasn't. There were players in and out. There was a problem what to do with Wayne Rooney. The team was ageing. It was just, we looked poor. And Gareth Southgate, all of a sudden now, we've just got an abundance of talent. And I'm not going to sit here and say that's all Gareth Southgate bringing them through, but is showing what English players can do if they're given the opportunity. And he's put English football, he's put some respect back in English football, is what I'm trying to say. I noticed during the Euros that all the people I knew who cared about England all year, and not just the tournament, loved what Gareth did and watched him in. I think the problem is that and it was only the opposite for the only tournament fans who hated on Southgate at every opportunity. I remember being at the Hungary game when we got beat 4-0, 4-1, whatever it was. I think it was 4-0 in the end, wasn't it? I remember being at the Hungary game and in Molineux, and I remember sitting with all the, the hardcore England lot, the ones who go to every game, and everyone were booing him. Everyone was shouting, "Time to go, Gareth." I remember that very clearly. There were still fans applauding. But there was a big contingent of fans who wanted him gone. If they were still looking for a manager, I wouldn't bother appointing Pep anymore. He's just gone off the bloody rails, hasn't he? Absolutely off the rails. Absolutely off the rails. He's an idiot. Just shows you what happens when if he loses a few games. He doesn't know what he's doing. Southgate was so thick-skinned and not bothered about what people thought about him, whereas Pep today started giving gestures towards Liverpool fans as it clearly affected him. Mate, he's rattled. He just can't face losing, can he? City at the minute are dropping out the Champions League places. So, look, Pep's a good manager, but I always said Pep or Klopp weren't the right manager for England. I've always said that. Ever since that 4-0 loss to Hungary, the Southgate hate started to be born. I think before that, they were there, and that was the problem. The pressure was on him before that, and that almost was sort of nailing the coffin for him. And I think for a long time then, people had made up their mind and didn't want him going into the next tournament. They just didn't want him there. And ultimately, they've proved right because the expectation were that we win it. But look, I'm not going to knock anyone who gets us to another final. You just can't. In a final, anything happens, and Spain rightly were the deserved winners. I'd love to get the opportunity to meet Southgate one day. He seems like a brilliant guy. Another idea I've done for a video is just that, is me going round and trying to physically see every current living ex-England manager and getting them to sign something. That was a video idea I had, but I just thought the logistics of that and the filming period will probably be about 12 months, so I still may do something like that, but yeah, no, absolutely, mate. So I think then, weekly poll chat, 67% against 33%. England Player of the Week. Who's England Player of the Week? Rashford's had a good week, hasn't he? Imagine Nuno coaching England, says Pagani. Josh Phillips, that would be brilliant. Would be really difficult. That exactly, mate. And I'm already bit enough more than I can chew with this other one. Watch this space though. It's something like if this channel went massive, and it meant I didn't have to work, and that's never going to happen. Let's be real. But if I have a list of videos I would make if dreamland videos, you know, blue sky thinking and all that crap. If the channel was a huge success, these are the ideas I'd love to do, but I just can't do it with the time, the budget, and everything like that. I know fans who had it in for him and wouldn't have been disappointed after we lost to Spain. This was all because that they had an agenda against Gareth, sadly. I mean, what other nation? Gate 102, absolutely right. What other nation would have fans wanting us to lose a final? Because that 100% was happening. 100%. Bellingham goal and lovely assist. Yes, Gittins, scored a brilliant goal for Dortmund. Never say never, Gary. The channel is only growing. Well, fingers crossed, mate, but I don't think it'll ever get to that level. And at the end of the day, I've not done it to get to that level. I've done it, as you all know, for this. If it's all about the subscribers for me, I certainly won't be doing lives every single week. I just love chatting England, and that's what it's all about. But yeah, just so you all know, there are blue sky videos in the back of my head that I just love to do, but I just wouldn't be able to. I might be going up to St George's Park though maybe over December at some point, because I don't live too far from St George's Park, and I'm going to do a bit of filming there. So yeah, I can do some things. Okay, so England player of the week. Bellingham, we've had a shout for Bellingham. Gittins as well. I mean, I've chucked Rashford in, but don't see many people jumping on that one this week. How many we got in? We've got 10 in the... How many have we got in the chat? 10 in the chat at the minute. Palmer obviously got another goal today. I know it's not all about goals, but... I mean, I suppose you've also got... I don't know, really. Bellingham won. Saka. Oh, yeah, Saka did have a good weekend, actually. Yeah, Saka did have a good weekend. Maybe Saka. I forgot that because it was yesterday. I'm happy Man City lose to Liverpool because that means Forest have a chance against them. I mean, everyone's got a chance against... do you mean Forest a chance against City? I mean, the problem is it looks like Liverpool's going to win the league before it even starts, but only 13 games in, and then what? 10 points clear, 9 points clear. Yeah, I'd say Saka. I'd say Saka's player of the week. He had a really good game this weekend. Okay, so we're coming up to the hour. Okay, Josh, Saka 1, Bellingham 2, Rashford 3. Interesting. It'd be interesting if Rashford keeps appearing on these lists. Gary, you going to Edinburgh next week? I am going up to Edinburgh. Let me have a look. I'll let you all know. Remember, keep an eye on the channel because I'll be posting loads of it. Well, not loads, but a few videos of me in Edinburgh where I'm England clubber. I'm going on Sunday the 15th of December. So yeah, quite later on. Sunday through to the Tuesday. So yeah, watch this space. I'll be taking some pictures and videos from me in my England gear into Scotland, which I can't wait for, really. I am looking forward to going. I've never been to Scotland, never been to Edinburgh. Does feel a bit weird, particularly as I'm such a big England fan and I've got an England channel that I'm going to Scotland for a winter break. But it's not always about the football, is it? Definitely not. The quiz is still planning for the 22nd. I was going to do the thing today, but today I've spent all day putting my decorations up. As you can see, this isn't the mall. Everything's downstairs. I'll post some pictures on my community chat later so you can all see. But yeah, I've spent all weekend putting my decorations up, so I'll probably go for next week. Yeah, next Sunday. I have sourced a TV now, a mini TV. So I do spend my own money, guys, and invest in the channel. There's going to be a little TV behind. I'm going to try and position it here, and we'll do the quiz. Watched any of the snooker this week? Yes, mate, I love snooker. Absolutely love it. It was on earlier. I did it, or is it still on now? Yeah, it's still on now, I think. What's the Barry Hawkins score? I haven't had it on. Not this afternoon. I've been watching it over the weekend. Buzzing for Christmas this year, says Josh. Great, and I hope you all are. And I just think it's worth taking a moment now, because I know for a fact there'll be people in this chat who will find Christmas very difficult. and I think it's always acknowledging that. And even today, when I was putting my decorations up, it is, for a lot of people, an emotional time of the year where not only do you celebrate things, but you remember loved ones as well and people who aren't here. So I just want to say to those, you know, stay strong and all that lot, because Christmas, I get it, it is a hard time of the year as well. So it is Merry Christmas and all that lot, but it's not, you know, it's also realising that for a lot of people, you know, who can't afford presents or are missing loved ones or whatever, yeah, it's a tough time of the year. So I'm just letting you all know, if you're one of those in the chat, my thoughts are with you as well. And if anything, you know, the channel will be here to keep you company. And we'll all keep each other company over there. And I hope I can bring you all some joy, and all of us can, because, yeah, Christmas can be a very tough time of the year. Anyway, it's now on an hour. Thank you all so much. I haven't picked a fan of the week, and I will do now, and I'm going to go for Josh, because he corrected me saying that Chris Wood's from New Zealand, and I don't know, for God knows, I don't know why I completely forgot that. I think it's because he's been in England, like, forever. He looks English, and so I just thought, for God's sake, but yeah, Josh Phillips definitely gets that for correcting me there. Gate 102, no problem, mate. Thank you so much for joining. Great in the chat again tonight as well. Bagani, also a big shout out. Big conversational involver tonight. Brilliant stuff. And everyone else who's joined. And if you are new here, if you've not joined the channel, if you're watching in the background and don't want to put anything out, you know, just hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. Join the streams when you want to. I'm not going to be bombarding loads of videos out over Christmas because no one watches them anyway. But I'll do a, you know, there's going to be quizzes, and hopefully I'll get this document that I keep talking about. I don't want to keep over promising things, but, you know, stuff's in the pipeline. But if you love England, if you love football, if you love international football in particular, particularly European football, you know, just hit the subscribe button if you're new here. I've no idea how many people. My analytics are all over the place, so I've actually no idea by the end of it how many people watch these live streams and who's a subscriber and who isn't. Let me just go on, just so you guys give you a little insight into the live streams. I mean, honestly, lives are different. I try and average about 500 views. If I get 500 views on a normal video, I'm happy. I think, to be honest with you, on most prediction videos, I'm usually hitting a few thousand, which I'm really pleased about. But on lives are a bit different. If I average anywhere over 150, 200, I'm really happy. Looking at my last few live streams, last week, overall 200 people has now watched it, 188, 163, 171, 217, 382 when I did the preview game. So I'm assuming not all, the reason why I'm telling you this is because I'm assuming not all of those are subscribers. So whenever you're watching this, hit the subscribe button and, yeah, join us every single Sunday. And, yep, I hope you all have a great week. Whatever you're doing, I hope you all have a great, fantastic week at school, work, whatever it is, at home. And I will see you all on my next video. Come on, England.